Welcome back to the Build Beyond podcast. This episode is specifically for women. Even more specifically, I'm talking to mothers and grandmothers who are in pain and don't know what to do. So you're successful in your career, you show up for your family, you're disciplined, you work out, you stay active, you take care of yourself. So why is your body the one thing that you can't seem to figure out? And you've tried things. You've been consistent, you've pushed through pain, and you've rested when you've been told to rest. And yet you're still dealing with pain, you're still modifying workouts, and you're still missing the fun stuff. And inevitably, you start to wonder, is this just how my life is going to be from now on? And that's frustrating because this isn't usually how things go for you. When you have a goal, you figure it out. When the kids are sick, you figure it out. When you need to be 10 different places at once, you figure it out. You make a plan, you execute, you get results. But with pain and injuries, it feels like you're doing everything right, but you're still not getting what you want. And sometimes it can feel like you're going nowhere. So then you start asking yourself questions. You start asking, am I doing something wrong? Is my body just broken? Am I missing something? So let's be really clear. It's not you, it's your plan. So in this episode, I'm going to tell you exactly why smart, driven women get stuck. And then I'm going to talk about some things that actually need to change so that you can get what you want and stop second guessing yourself. So if you're like most active women who I work with, there's a disconnect. You're putting in a ton of effort and you have an idea of what you think you need to do, but the results aren't coming. And this has been going on for a while and it's frustrating. And it's weird because you feel successful, you feel disciplined, you're used to figuring things out. You show up for work, you show up for your family, you show up for workouts, you show up for your friends. You're not lazy, you're not careless, and you're not clueless. But for some reason, you can't figure your body out. Initially, what we need to do, we need to talk about expectations. So let's take your career, for example. You put in effort, you usually have some type of strategy, and ultimately you get a result. So naturally, you try and apply that same process to your body. You put in effort, you try and recreate some level of consistency with a plan, but then it feels like you're going nowhere. So then you just assume after a while that it's your fault, that maybe you're not trying hard enough, maybe you're not being consistent enough, maybe the problem is you. And then the disconnect is that if you ever come into a contact with a problem in any other part of your life, you're able to figure that out. So the frustrating thing is that pain and injury doesn't follow that same linear model, and that results in doubt, it results in frustration, and it results in lack of confidence. So it's not because you're doing something wrong. Let's throw that out there. You don't lack discipline. You don't lack effort. It's not necessarily because you're getting older, and it's not because your body's breaking down. Most of the time, it's not you as an individual, it's the approach. It's not right for you, or it's not right for your goals, or it's not right for your schedule, and things just aren't matching up. So you've got a lot of things that could work, but they don't sync well. So the reasons why you're stuck, there's a lot of different reasons. One, you've only been given pieces of a plan, but not a complete plan. So it's like a Lego set that your kids have that it's not a complete set. And you're trying to build something and it's just not working. Well, there's nothing defective about the individual Legos. They just don't work well together, and you lack the instructions to take all of these complex pieces and put them together into something that is functional or beautiful or whatever it is you're trying to create. So that could come in the form of random exercises. It could come in the form of temporary treatments. It could come in the form of generic advice, no clear progression. This is what people complain about when they do their own research on the internet. And I would never discourage anyone from getting on Google or YouTube or on social media and trying to figure these things out. But you have to understand, especially as someone who creates a lot of content on YouTube and on social media, and I write blogs and I do these podcasts, I can't be specific to your needs because I may not know you, you know? And so I think what happens is there's a lot of content creators out there who are trying to provide value, and they're trying to provide high quality content that's engaging and that serves people, but you can't be specific. So a lot of people will go out and they're like, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And they're saying that these people are getting the results, but I'm not getting the results. So in many cases, you have a lot of tools that may or may not be right for you. But even if they are all the right tools for you, you don't have a blueprint to make them work together. You don't have that. You've got the full set of Legos, but you don't have the instructions, and they're all mixed up, and you don't know how to organize them to get what you want. Another reason why you feel stuck, you're being told to avoid things instead of trying to build something, right? So we need to build a plan. We need to build capability. We need to build confidence. And what a lot of people get told is that they need to avoid things. Now, avoidance for a day or a week or a limited amount of time could be a good part of the plan, but it's not a plan. It may just be like an initial piece, or it might be a periodic rest period, but it is not a plan in itself. So if you've been told, well, just stop doing that, or just keep modifying this, or why don't you rest more? Active people don't want to be told to rest or to do something different or to stop doing something. We have to find a way to keep you doing the things that you want to be able to do. And that might require some modification temporarily, but it's modification with a plan to work you back to the actual activity at the level at which, or the frequency at which, that you want to be able to participate, whether that be sports, it could be gym time, it could be recreational activities, it could be walking your dog, it could be just having enough energy to be super mom and get through the day and be able to get up, enjoy your coffee, get the kids ready, and without going insane, get them to school, shower, show up and be present for work and be productive. Remember to eat, remember to drink water, remember to get your steps in. At some point, you schedule in that time for exercise, but also the kids have practice. So, like, how do you do all of those things and do them well, and then also integrate pain management and rehab and work your way back? It gets really complicated. This is maybe the most complicated Lego piece or the Lego set that we could throw at you, and you're not getting the plan. And you might not even have all the pieces, and you've never built it before. So what no one tells you is that what you can do, right? So you get this idea of like, well, I should stop doing certain things, but what can you do? And how do you progress? If you have to stop doing something, or if you have to modify something, okay, fine. But what is the criteria and the timeline for progression? That's a big missing piece that a lot of people have. So how do you actually walk the dog and get back to full capacity? So rest, avoidance, modification, those could all be tools in a plan, but they're not a plan in and of itself. Does that make sense? Something else that's holding you back is that the systems that we are in are not built for results. They're built for speed. So this is a hard one to address because I don't think most healthcare providers who exist within the insurance-based system think that it's a good system. I think that most healthcare providers are trying to do the best that they can within that system. So, for example, if you are going to go and bill insurance, insurance doesn't reimburse for results per se. They reimburse for billing specific codes. And they're only going to pay for specific codes. So for example, if it's time-based code, Let's say it's a time-based code for rehab. Well, if I was to bill insurance, I don't get paid more for having more effective rehab. I just get paid for providing a certain amount of time for rehab. So if it's a 15-minute code, I don't actually have to do a full 15 minutes to bill that code legally. I think I only have to do 8 minutes, somewhere around there. So anything over 8 minutes, I'm actually losing money. I should be doing something else that I can bill for. And unfortunately, from a business standpoint, it's hard to separate the two. And if you're not getting reimbursed for results, you're only getting reimbursed for time spent, and that time has a limit. And beyond that limit, you don't necessarily get paid more. Inevitably, that's going to affect care. So insurance-based care, for the most part, is designed for short appointment times, because you have to see you're getting reimbursed less, and like the reimbursement chunks are smaller and the time codes are small, so you have to see a greater volume. So for you, what that means is inevitably short appointment times, or if you're at a longer appointment, it's not really with your healthcare provider. It might be with an assistant or with a nurse or someone just kind of supervising what you're doing. You have surface level assessments. Your healthcare provider doesn't necessarily get reimbursed for having these discussions, so there's no real time for understanding. So it's hard to solve a complex problem with cookie cutter solutions that are with time codes and parameters set by an insurance company who doesn't know anything about what you're dealing with. I'm trying to be diplomatic with this because I don't want to come off as saying that I think healthcare providers are doing a bad job if they exist within an insurance system, because they're not. They're trying to survive, and they're trying to do the very best they can within that system, but that system restricts them and it restricts you, which is one reason why I and other providers like me have stepped outside of that system. Not just chiropractors or physical therapists, but I know physicians who are doing the same thing, so that we can get reimbursed for giving you the care that you actually need and the care that you want. And we can be really upfront about that. So the system itself could be what's holding you back, depending on where you've been getting your healthcare or where you've been getting your advice. Something else that's holding you back is that you've lost trust in your body. This is a big one. The lack of confidence, I think it's the hardest one to admit, because I think initially people will be like, well, I don't have time. And if we get past that time barrier and it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. There's too much information out there. I don't know how to filter it out and distill it down. And then for people who get beyond that, if this has been going on long enough, it's like, well, I don't know that I can recover. I believe that these things could work, but I don't think I can do it. I don't think my body will respond. And that comes from just a long line of, progressively not getting the results that you want. Again, you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the time, you're not a dumb person, and you just can't make it work. So in general, most people lose confidence, and they lose confidence in themselves and in their body. So you have pain, you're afraid. Pain equals fear, fear equals hesitation, and then hesitation equals altered lifestyles. You change the way you move, you change the activities, you modify, you rest. Ultimately, you go down this path of living the life that you don't want to live. It's just a path of compromise. You're splitting the difference. And unfortunately, when you compromise too much, you don't get what you want, really. It's never going to make you happy. So if you're living this life with too much compromise for too long, we got to flip the script. We got to change that. We got to get you back. We got to figure out a plan to get you back doing what you want to do. Something else that's holding you back is you're missing a strategy for your lifestyle. You might have a strategy, but it might not fit your lifestyle. So I could come up with the best plan ever, but if it doesn't fit your lifestyle, it's the worst plan. If you can't actually execute the plan, it's not an effective plan. So that's why cookie cutter solutions don't really work well. So you've got complicated lifestyle. You've got kids or grandkids. You've got a career. You might be traveling, or you're trying to get in your regular workouts. So you have a social life, and you have a spouse, and maybe you've got aging parents that you're taking care of, and you've got pets. And again, you've got holidays and birthdays and weddings and dance recitals and sports, and there's so many things going on. So how could one singular strategy, one cookie cutter strategy, or one code that the insurance company wants everyone with your diagnosis to get, how can that necessarily work for you but also work for everyone? The answer is it can't. So if you ignore this reality, then basically you're putting an unrealistic expectation that the plan is going to work. And then when it doesn't work, rather than criticize the plan because it should have worked because it worked for other people, it falls on you. You're the defective one. Your body's defective. You are not motivated enough. And then people start to lose confidence. So what can we do? There's a lot of things. I think initially you have to reframe the way you think about these things. You're not stuck because you can't do it. It's not because of you. You're stuck because no one has shown you how to do it within your lifestyle in a unique way that respects and honors all of the commitments and all of the balls that you can't drop. So you've got glass balls and you got rubber balls. You drop a rubber ball and it bounces. You drop a glass ball and it breaks. If you're a busy mom with a career and kids and grandkids and all these other things going on, everything seems like a glass ball. So what we need to do is figure out, well, which ones are actually glass balls and which ones are rubber balls. And let's assume that there's a ton of glass balls. Okay, we can't drop any of these. But how do we keep those glass balls from breaking and still filter in the rehab or the lifestyle modifications or the treatment that you need ultimately to move you along a path? And what is a realistic prognosis? Is it going to take a year? Okay, but what does that year look like? Will it take longer? Or is it shorter? Is this something that can be done quickly with a little bit of maybe just like a little bit of different prioritization? A lot of people don't have that information. They don't even have those options to make those choices. So what actually works? Well, you need a clear starting point, first of all. So we need to understand you and what's going on. Where are you right now? What can you do? What can't you do? For the things that you can do, what makes you able to do those things? Physically, time-wise, what are the advantages that you do have? Because you will have advantages. And then what are all the immediate hurdles in front of you? What can't you do? Why can't you do it? Is it pain? Is it restricted motion? Is it a lack of time? Are you too tired? What are the alligators closest to the boat? What is happening right now immediately? And then where do you want to go? So what's the end result? What's the end location? How far away are the 2 points from where you are now and where you want to be? Because when we have a clear starting point and we have a clear end point, we can start to look at all the different options, the different paths. Something else that we would want to find out at this point is, why do you want to make this journey? Because inevitably this is going to be hard and this is going to be challenging. So when people feel like they lack motivation, they don't have a clear reason why, or they do have a clear reason why, but they haven't clearly articulated it to themselves. And so the process of really defining why, not just like I want to get healthy or I want to be more active, but why? Why is this so important to you? So at this point, we have a clear understanding of where you are. We have a clear understanding of where you want to go. We have clear options as far as different paths to take and contingency plans. And we understand why you want to take the journey, so we understand when things get hard what the motivation is. And ultimately, we stay focused on where you want to go, what you want that end result to be. And along that path, we don't drop glass balls. So at any point, if the plan was working, but it's not working, and we're about to drop a glass ball, we change the plan. The plan has to be adaptable and dynamic. So I know it's frustrating, and I know it feels like your body is holding you back, and I know it's scary, and I know I know you're tough, but I know you're frustrated. And I know that this can be exhausting. It's exhausting when things don't work and you don't understand why. But you have to build trust in yourself and build trust in the plan. And that comes with time, and it comes with not putting unrealistic expectations on yourself. So you have to understand, you are capable. You can do this. You're capable of getting stronger. You've done this. You've been successful at all these other things. You can figure this out. You might need some help. The fact that you're frustrated, the fact that you might be afraid, the fact that you're discouraged, the fact that you feel like you're the only one who can accomplish this and everyone else seems like they can do it. Those are all normal feelings. And the answer to your problem and the solution and the path that you need to take, it exists. There is an excellent solution to this problem. We have to figure out what that is. And then as we figure that out, we've got to overwhelm your problem with the excellent solution. So you don't need to settle for a life that you don't want. You just need a better approach. So if this sounds like you, we need to start asking better questions. If you've been stuck, it's not necessarily time to try harder. It's time to start thinking about this differently. I hope this was helpful.